And a pleasant good morning to each and every one of you, and welcome into the Power Lunch. I'm your host, Kenneth Forte. So glad to have you joining us today. And before we get into the show, we want to remind you, coming up on Friday, August the 9th, is the second annual Adult Team Spelling Bee. This is not your fourth grade spelling bee. 3 to 6 players per team. There is a $250 fee for the teams. It's at Tensco Community Center, 115 Tensco Road, Dickson. Here in Dickson at 6:30. Now registration started on August the 1st. And you can go to DicksonReads.org. And all proceeds benefit Reads adult literacy programs. And we are happy to share that information with you. Of course, we had the folks from Read on with us earlier. And I think it was last month we had them on talking about this, but it's the adult literacy program helping both English and non-English speakers. And this spelling bee will be Friday, August the 9th. It is their second annual spelling bee, and from what I understand, it's a lot of fun. So if you want to test your spelling, this is definitely where you want to go, and register your team. If you just think you're a good speller, get 3 to 6 people go with you, and you guys put together a team and pay the entry fee and participate, because it will be a lot of fun. Now dinner will be provided to all of the participants as well, so you can check that out and register at DicksonReads.org, at DicksonReads.org. And so we encourage you to definitely go out and support this event. We're so glad today to have with us some folks from Dickson County Schools, and we are talking early education, early learning, and I'm going to have our folks around the table introduce themselves and tell you what they do, and then we're going to get into our conversation. Andrea, we'll start with you.
Okay, thank you so much for having us. Actually, I'm going to be one of the judges at the spelling bee this Friday. Gratefully, they give me a list that tells me how to spell, because I used to be a great speller, but I've lost my mojo in that way. So I have not been to one, so that will be fun. But I'm Andrea Bobie, and I am the Director of Early Learning for Dickson County Schools, which is a new position. And really one of the reasons I wanted to be here today is to talk about why that is a new position, and why it's important, and why it's important to Dr. Sutherland and to Dickson County. And so we can get into that in a minute. But I've been on before to talk about some similar things, but it's just very expanded. And that's what we can talk about today.
And you brought some friends with you, another Andrea.
Absolutely, yes. I can't be without the other Andrea, for sure.
I'm the other Andrea. I'm Andrea Rawls. I'm the elementary literacy coordinator and have been in that role for several years now, and thank you for having us back.
Always. And then we got a newbie.
Yes, fourth day on the job. My name's Laura Farrell. I'm the elementary numeracy coordinator. So working with our teachers and instructional coaches on making sure content's appropriate and pacing and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Now, Andrea, you and I talked when we were doing the back to school bash. There are a lot of changes that you guys are dealing with. Talk a little bit about some of those changes.
Yes. So, we've always talked about the importance of getting to our students before they're our students. So that's why we have this new position of early learning. And so that's what these positions of elementary and early learning that Andrea and Laura, have worked with the kids in elementary. And now we're trying to get to families before they're even in school, and that is a little bit difficult to do. So we're just trying to be creative. We were at the back to school bash. On Saturday, we were at the Dickson County baby shower, which is, I have often said, if I could meet the families in the recovery room and say, after they have their baby, welcome to Dickson County Schools, please read to your baby. That's not far off the mark, and I want to talk about that a little bit today. But Dr. Sutherland just really values, and we all do, not letting our students come into school behind already. And that is really what the research shows, that if your student comes in behind reading, being able to do some simple math, thinking, it is really difficult to catch them up to students who did do that before they got to school. It takes a lot of intervention.
Yeah.
A lot of intervention, surprisingly, and they could be behind for years. And the things that we're going to share today that you could do at home are surprisingly simple. So that's where we come in to try to just think of some out-of-the-box ways to get to the families before they ever step foot into the kindergarten classroom. So we just think that time from birth to 5 years old is really crucial for everything down the road. And we think about the emphasis on third grade, which I know we've talked about before, and we're going to mention it today. You can't start thinking about third grade retention in third grade. I mean, that's just, we're going to have to start thinking about that years before. And so Dr. Sutherland is a forward-thinking leader, and so now we're just backing up and backing up and backing up and thinking about it much sooner. So that is a lot of the reasons that this department is now part of Dickson County Schools.
So now, Andrea, tell us about your role and the role that you play in this new development of this department.
So I would say that my role is there just to continually support with literacy options to provide to our students. I know whenever Andrea is going to a lot of events, she's taking books, which we love to see books in the kids' hands before they even come to school. And like she said, that's one of the easiest things that families can do before their child even starts school. As soon as they're born, to just start reading to them and hearing all of that language. A lot of my work is with our kindergarten through fifth grade teachers, and that covers the whole gamut. So kindergarten, first and second grade, we're really focused on teaching students how to read. And then whenever we get to third, fourth, and fifth grade, we talk about how we shift in third grade from learning how to read to now we're reading to learn more. So that's whenever you're really learning, you're reading science text and social studies text to learn rather than just learning how to put those sounds and words together on a page. And of course, our TCAP test starts in second grade, and we've had a great deal, as we always say, there is a bright spotlight shining on TCAP in third grade right now and those retention laws. And, we're working very early in the year to inform our families about what that looks like for their third grader. I have a third grader myself this year, and so I said, for the past 2 years, I've told families, it's okay. And it does hit a little different when you're the parent. So I've kind of been on the other side of that seat now.
You keep telling yourself now, it's okay.
I'm like, it's okay. We will get through this. So just supporting all of our teachers and all of their ELA work. And then, of course, thinking about what we can do with our early families before they ever walk through those school doors.
Well, when we come back after the break, the newbie will tell us what she does. Laura will tell us about her role and how it impacts your kids as well as they are continuing. I love the emphasis on early education, because that is the thrust of what makes the difference for kids by the time they get to the first, second, third, fourth grade. Which makes Imagination Library really something really important, and we support them as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about early learning programs here in just a moment. You're tuned into the Power Lunch here on 101.5 The Ride. Back in a moment. All right, we're back here on the Power Lunch. I'm Kenneth Forte. Hey, we do want to remind you that we do podcast our show, so you can go back and check them out. If you go to our Facebook page or you go to our SoundCloud page, 101.5 The Ride, you can listen to the show. But you will also be able to see this show as it is videotaped on our Facebook page as well. And that, again, is 101.5 The Ride. We'd love for you to join us on Facebook. Like us, as they say. Like us on Facebook and follow us. We'll put out our football broadcast schedule here shortly. So hope that you will continue to support the things that we're doing here at 101.5 the ride. We are fortunate enough to have our early learning educators in the room, and we have a newbie, Ms. Laura. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And now introduce yourself to our listening audience and tell them exactly what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Laura Farrell. I'm elementary numeracy coordinator, focusing on pre-K-5 instruction. I am new to this role, but I'm 20 years in the county as an educator. So I'm very excited. Like I said earlier, it's my 4th day, but I'm looking forward to continuing to work with both of the Andreas. And sort of to piggyback off what Andrea Ross said a moment ago, she was talking about how her focus is literacy throughout those grades. Mine is numeracy and building conceptual math understanding, as well as mathematical fluency. And so working with the teachers and instructional coaches at the schools to make sure pacing is appropriate and, instructional strategies on all of those things.
Well, and the interesting thing, of course, is all 3 of you were teachers before you moved into your new roles. Yes. How do you bring what you did as a teacher to this role? Because you work directly with teachers and just helping them, because as much as people like to think teaching is easy, teaching is not easy. So how do you guys help them in the roles that you play? Andrea?
Well, that's a really good question, but I'm going to say, to flip that a little bit, I learned so much from the teachers, and so we have to be so able to listen to them. Teaching changes so quickly. Just a year or two with your foot out the door of the classroom, and you could quickly think. We have said to each other often, I would be a different teacher now because of the many amazing teachers I have been able to see in my different roles. And I think, wow, what an amazing idea, or what a beautiful way to present that content. So that, just to kind of flip that question back, I would say I learned more from the teachers that then I can share with other educators and say, I just saw this in another classroom. Let me share it with you. So that's a beautiful thing about this type of role, where we get to be all over the district and able to see many educators do their amazing work in the district.
Andrea?
And it is great just to be in my work, a lot of times I will see the same lesson numerous times because, we're all in the same pace in our reading curriculum. And you would think, okay, you're all using the same book, you're all teaching the same material, and the spin and the flavor that teachers put on it is so different. So while I see the same lesson maybe 5 times, I don't see the same lesson 5 times. Like they share the same information and the kids are getting the same thing, but our teachers are so talented, and whenever you walk into a teacher's room who is just so gifted, and she just makes all of those things come together for the students, that is wonderful. And I always say, those are the moments when I'm like, oh, I wish I were still in the classroom, because you love those light bulb moments when you see it just start to click for the kids. And our teachers get to experience that every day, numerous times a day.
So, Laura?
Yeah, and just I agree with everything they said for sure. And also just acknowledging the hard that teachers face every day and knowing that we are here for them and we take very seriously all of their feedback and everything they say, for the good of them and our, obviously our students, because that's what we're here for.
Well, and the funny thing is, Andrea is Andrea I knew, and I met Laura. But I look at you and y'all look so young, and I'm thinking, well, you've been doing this for 16 years. But there's something about the impact that teachers have on students, as you're talking about the impact that they have on you. What are some of the challenges, as in particular as things change, learning style changes, and when you're dealing with kids, in pre-K and then in first grade and then what are some of the tools that you guys try to assist your teachers with?
I think one of the things that I see as a I don't know if barrier is the word I would use, but something that I want to assist parents with in my new role is, and I said at the beginning that what we are asking parents to do is pretty simple. Essentially asking, the kids that come in sort of at the top of kindergarten, their parents are doing I would say maybe 3 pretty simple things. They're reading to their kids every day, 20 minutes-ish. They're talking to their kids every day about things in life. We're going to go to the store. We're going to, this is Mr. Kenneth. He's on the radio. The radio is in the car. Just some things about life. Or I let this man go in front of me. He doesn't have a lot of groceries. That's a nice thing to do. We have a lot of groceries. Just some things like that. And then also maybe some math things that Laura could talk about, sorting, different things like that, and some social skills. Full stop, that's it. But just all the time. That's what that top group is coming in doing. If the kids that are coming in at the bottom, if their parents could kind of be educated about, that's something that they could do as well. I think we could see a shift there. And I do think that post-COVID, it's a little bit harder. And I don't have any thought that parents did anything wrong during COVID. They were working, they were putting food on that table, they were keeping the lights on, and I think it was really easy to let our electronics help them get that work done, and now it's hard to rein it back in. And I just think I was lucky enough to have older children where they didn't really need that. Yeah. But I think that's just that's something we're going to have to help parents think of other ways to help their children. So that to me is one thing that I would like to help parents with, that this can't be always the default, but it's here to stay. We know it is, and that's okay. But just to give them some better options. But those 3 things, just, the reading, the talking about things in life, and then just some social skills, because we're just seeing the kids maybe come in with less ability to interact with each other, and the teachers are spending some time doing that, which is fine. That's what kindergarten is for. Yeah. But those kind of things are what we would like to see the kids coming in being able to do. And I may have taken your question in my own direction.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Because, I mean, it's if you remember the book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten.
Yes.
And that's, how to read, how to play, get along with people. All of those are basics. That hasn't changed.
Yes.
I mean, Andrea, talk about some of the things that when you're talking to your teachers and working with them. Share some of those things.
So I think, you mentioned, and Andrea had talked about how when you're further out of the classroom, things change very quickly. We were leading PD a couple of weeks ago, and there was one of the Promethean boards, and they asked me if I could use that to present, and I was like, I might need some help because I was teaching with an overhead. We didn't have projectors and all these things. But, kids are still kids. Yeah. Learning is still learning. And so while our standards and things change, my goal as elementary literacy is just to give our teachers all the tools that they need to well equip their tool belt so that they can make those lessons what they need for those particular kids. And I think sometimes people think that, teachers, if you teach kindergarten every year, you probably just do the same thing every year. It doesn't really change. But the kids that are sitting in those seats make everything change. And our teachers are so gifted at really making their instruction pop and giving each student individually what they need. So I just try to give them all the tools in their tool belt. Our teachers spend a week of professional development before school starts. And when we were putting that together this year, we surveyed our teachers and asked them, what topics do you want? What do you want to hear about? And they wanted to hear from other teachers. Experts are great. We had a fabulous speaker come who was an author, and she really uplifted our staff and gave them a lot of great things to think about, but they wanted to hear from teachers in Dickson County, and they wanted to hear strategies and things that they were doing. So we put together sessions, and they heard from their colleagues and got really great ideas from them.
Laura? Because the numerical is totally different.
Yeah, as far as how we versus how we learned, absolutely, for sure. Back in the 80s when I was in school, it was very much procedural mathematics that we were learning. The standard algorithm, carrying a 1. When I was a child, I truly didn't understand. That was a 10 I was carrying. It was not a 1. So we are, yes, we
were in the same class.
Yeah, and I could solve a problem. I could go through the steps. I could solve it, but I could not explain to you why.
Yeah.
So that is, we are shifting to conceptual mathematical, not really shifting, but that is our focus, especially at the younger grades. It's just mathematical concepts, number sense, having a true understanding of place value. And whenever we get those things and a foundation laid there, then they're able to, when they get older, use some of those procedural steps, but know the why behind it. Because there's a time and a place for the algorithm, and there is a time and place for going through steps to solve a problem. But you just have to have the background knowledge to know what you're doing so that you can work mental math strategies. My husband's an engineer, and so he's, very math-minded. And back several years ago when we switched to the, quote, new math, which is really not new math, it's just makes sense math when you think about it. I was teaching first grade at the time, and it was very new for my thinking. But since teaching the new way for several years, I am now doing stuff mentally that I did not do a while ago. So it might require some steps initially that seem like you're making them work harder, but what you're doing is you're laying the groundwork for them to be able to solve things mentally, so especially for that K2 area now, pre-K2, it's just some concepts there. And as far as supporting teachers, saying we want to make sure that we're providing professional developments that train them in these things, because many of us, we didn't learn, like we just said, we didn't learn that way. Not saying that that was wrong how we learned it, but I'm a firm believer in when you know better, do better. And so we know better now. So let's address those things. And as far as, do you want me to talk now about what Andrea was talking about, parents, or later?
Well, we're going to come back and talk. We're going to I need to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have that conversation about things that parents can do to help their kids, and that, because that is the key, is, parents being in a position to understand how to help their kids in the education, getting a good education, and we'll do that after the break. You're tuned to the Power Lunch here on 101.5 The Ride. Back in a moment. All right, we're back here on the Power Lunch. I'm Kenneth Forte, and we're so glad to have Andrea, and Laura. Laura, I know. Ooh, my studio. All right. And, the information that these ladies are sharing, I hopefully, you will tell your friends and neighbors that this information is available. Andrew, one of the things we talked about at the Back to School Bash is the new pre-K program. Talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to get back into, because this could be an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour long show, because there's so much information that you guys are sharing that really, I like to say, are nuggets that will help parents. And to me, it's so much easier if it helps them on the front end than trying to figure it out on the back end.
Right. So this is what I'm going to talk about is called VPK, and it's the voluntary pre-K, and it's not new. We've had it for, let's see, a while, maybe 6 years. A while. So it's for 4-year-olds. It's an all-day program that is taught by certified teachers and an assistant, a 10-to-1 ratio, so 20 students, a teacher, and an assistant. 5 of our schools have a VPK in the school, and it's an application process that is a tiered system, mostly based on income, and it's free for families who qualify. That registration opens in April, and the teachers at each school go through the applications, and you submit a lot of different necessary documents. That's very similar to registering for kindergarten, birth certificates, immunization. There is a proof of income section, and the teacher will that's what's happening right now. The teachers are going through all of the applications and letting parents know if they are in the program or not. So since not every school has one, you can ask to go to one that's if your school that you're zoned for doesn't have one, you might be able to go to a different school. So that's just kind of case by case, just to kind of let you know. But we just see great things from the kids that are able to go to that program. For the next year, they're really ready for kindergarten. It's a wonderful program. We also have what Brooke is over. Brooke Parham usually will come with us, and I think she's going to come on the 21st of August.
Okay.
We talked about that. So
yes.
She does the Peers program, and that is a half-day program. She's talked about that before when we've been with you on the show. And that is a half day for students with IEPs and typically developing peers. And it's a wonderful program as well. And peers can apply for that. All of that information is on the school website, and it's dcstn.org. Dickson County Schools, Tennessee is what DCSTN stands for. And our website is really good and getting better all the time. But that section is really good.
Good.
Brooke and Emily Murphy have just made it very step by step. So if you go to the school's website and you go to student enrollment and then preschool, it's very clear, and you can see there. You can still apply now. It's open, and you can. I'm not making any promises, but you can see. But there are some schools that have some openings, so you can go and look at that if you have a 4-year-old, and then the teacher would contact you and let you know if there was any availability either way. Okay. So that is a wonderful program. Dr. Sutherland is a visionary, so I would say to just be looking for big things in the future. I have a lot of things that I'm rolling around in my mind too. I think both of us obviously see the need for preschool, pre-K, and lots of it.
Yeah.
You know, either privately, you know, a lot of our kids went to one of the church offerings, or to one in the school. And I think as teachers, you know, I was a first grade teacher and then some other grades too, but a lot of times you just knew that you could tell a student that had been to a pre-K program, it's important. So I think that's obviously, as I said, it's important to Dr. Sutherland. So, and that's wonderful because we know that birth to K part of life sets the tone for so much of the rest of life. So, I did want to talk a little bit. I'm just kind of taking over.
No, you're good.
Just a minute. Okay. I did want to.
You got the mic.
Okay. I did want to say also, you know, there's maybe like a perception out there that we are not making the progress, maybe even as a nation, that we want to make. And I think this is a section of the population that is going to help us make progress. And so we're working with parents, and that's a big piece, is trying to get that message out about the things that we have talked about to do with parents. And then a couple of things that I wanted maybe Andrea to talk to, if she doesn't mind doing that, is the things that we do in school, because there's a really specific amount of time spent on reading in school that the teachers, specific blocks of time. So Andrea could talk about that. And then, and also specific things that the teachers are asked to do about phonemic awareness and different things. So she could talk about that. So the schools are not looking at that. We are very in tune to making specific things happen to address that. And then also, as we said earlier, third grade retention law is something that we are addressing now very early, which has a section of learning that we've always had, but we are a little even more intentional with it, which is summer learning, which no one has ever heard of summer learning gain. We've only heard of summer learning loss, which is when kids go home and they, don't really do any reading and they come back. Yeah. But when they go to summer school, we have a test for the third graders, and they are expected to make a gain, and they do. I mean, we're seeing that, the third graders, so that is kind of bucking that trend, which is wonderful. So I just, I don't have anything to do anymore at this moment with First and Beyond, except that we all do. In each of our roles, we are trying to build a wonderful human who will graduate from Dickson County Schools. So I just feel like my role is to help third graders, and then seniors who take ACT, at some point. But as I said earlier, we can't ignore third grade retention as a kindergartner. We can't ignore it at each step. But I just wondered if Andrea might want to talk a little bit about what that looks like.
And I would say because COVID changed a lot, and it forced you guys to do some things quite differently.
Yes.
So go ahead and talk about it.
So, we had talked earlier about how in kindergarten, first and second grade, our primary goal is to teach students how to read. And, the biggest part of that is phonics. And so in our kindergarten, first and second grade classrooms, they are spending at least 120 minutes a day on reading. That's 2 hours. And so by the time you think about, the school day is 7-ish hours long, you have activity time for gym or art or music, you have lunch time, you have all the other things as part of your day. 2 blocks is a big chunk of the time. And that's not even counting the time that they're spending in their intervention class. That can be up to an hour. So the majority of the kindergarten, first, second grade day is spent on reading. And in the reading block, we talk a lot about foundational skills, which would be phonics, phonemic awareness, phonological awareness. And that's really a lot of playing with words, really. At the very early ages, we talk about, if you have the word land and you change the l sound to b, and you don't say buh, I shouldn't have picked a schwa sound. But if you change the first sound to the letter B, then you have a new word, band. And so those are things that, our families can do at home. You don't have to have any special materials. It's just talking about sounds. It's talking about what is a word that you can think of that rhymes with walk. Oh, talk. Just so anything that they can do just to get kids thinking about the words that they're saying. And if we can have a student that leaves second grade really where they're supposed to be on grade level reading, then we're working on reading standards and skills earlier too, like things like describe characters, talk about the theme of a story. But that's what they really kind of dig into even more in the upper grades, and that's what is on that TCAP test that we all look forward to taking every spring.
Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back because we want to get into the math of it all as well, because I just, and you mentioned this, Andrew, earlier, I just keep thinking back to those kids that were during the COVID era when it was like, here, just watch this movie. Here, just, because that's what was, keep creating the peace for some parents. And so, but those kids eventually came back. And now you have to bring them up to speed on the math end, on the reading end, on holistically, so that they become better, students, and be able to meet those standards when they get to the point where they have to take the third grade retention test and all of those things. So we'll talk about that after the break. You're tuned to the Power Lunch here on 101.5 The Ride. All right, we're back here on the Power Lunch, and we left off with Ms. Laura gearing up to talk mathematics.
Yeah. Well, going back to what Andrea Bobian said at the beginning of the broadcast, so many things that parents can do at home prior to school are so simple that you sort of forget some things that just very easy to incorporate into your day. Thinking about just some basic, like you were talking about everything you learned in kindergarten. One thing that kindergarten through second grade, one of their big focus areas is telling time. So honestly, having an analog clock at home is super beneficial. Having a clock, and you refer to that, because what is a clock? Your phone. I mean, you just look at that, they can tell a digital time, but as far as being able to tell time on a regular clock, that is hard for some, because even if teachers are working on it at school, and this is something not just pre-K, but all the way, up through second and third grade, practicing that at home and just having just at least one in your house to talk about. Another thing that you can do at home is pre-K, preschool all the way up, is playing board games with your kid. Playing Candyland. Bring out the Candyland. I mean, think about everything that they're learning mathematically on there. You're learning your colors, you're learning positional words, like you got to go back, you got to hop forward too, those types of words that come into math. Talking, sorting things, involving them in doing the laundry. Oh, look, here's a pair of socks. How many socks are in a pair? 2. Just things like that. Math conversations that you might not see. Like, I'm sitting in this room right now, and I see 3 squares. I see some rectangles. I see, real life objects that have shapes. Then you can also bring into play solid shapes. Counting. I mean, just straight up counting backward, skip counting. Things that are easily done in the car. Things that you can just do it, like whenever you've got a time filler. But again, I think going back to what they were saying earlier, it's just conversation, talking, just like she mentioned earlier, narrating your day. Well, this is why I'm doing this. Well, okay. Well, hey, can you go put this bottle of soap beside the towel? I mean, just anything like that to bring that vocabulary in is huge as far as what parents can do at home.
Wow. Those are some of the things that we don't necessarily think about as parents. So I'm glad you pointed those things out. There are some dates and some that we want to make sure that our listening audiences are aware of. And Laura, Andrea. 2 Andreas and 1 Laura. See, I did that mathematically.
You did. I just heard an equation. You said 2 plus 1. Yeah, got it.
So one event that we have coming up, we are partnering with the Bank of Dickson. They kind of have like a monthly celebration, and so September is Literacy Month. So to celebrate Literacy Month, we're going to be bringing our book bus out to the main branch there on Highway 46. If you have not seen our book bus, it is a bright, can't be missed. It's actually an older, like Ford Winnebago, but we have it colorfully wrapped. And it says Dickson County Book Bus. It has like lots of drawings of kids and books on it. So we're going to be out there on Friday, September 6th from 2 until 4. And they are sponsoring 150 books for us to give away. And so we hope that families will stop by on their way, maybe as they're picking up from school, maybe if they stop with the little ones on their way to pick up big brothers and sisters from school. So we'd love to put a book in your hands. So come see us on that day. And then we talked a lot about third grade retention today, and we want to make sure that families are aware of that at the very beginning of third grade. And so each of our schools has planned a family meeting where the principal will be sharing a presentation, just letting third grade families know this is what this looks like. We don't want you to be scared. We want you to have all the information that you can so that you could make informed decisions all year long. Because the TCAP test isn't until April, but we wanted to have those meetings before fall break even starts.
Yeah.
So you can go to the dcstn.org website and find the dates, and you should be getting some information sent home from your child's school. They range from late August all the way through, most of them are in late August. I think we have 1 in September and 1 in October, but those vary by school.
Wow. All right, Miss Andrew?
Other things going on in the district. I think that we're caught up on all of the dates. So, yeah, I would just say, I'm looking for ways to plug into the community. So this might be my chance to say, if you're listening and you're thinking, man, I would love to get a hold of her ear, because I could plug into this group of families, or I could share something with her. As I started to say at the beginning, it's hard sometimes to get a hold of the group of birth to 5 before they're in school, or birth, even before they're in pre-K. Once you're in school and we have you in Skyward, which is our database. We're able to text the families. We're able to call the families. If you are in school, you're familiar with that. You'll hear Dr. Sutherland's voice, or you'll get a text from your school. So that is very easy and very wonderful to be able to communicate that way. But before you're in school, it's a little bit more challenging. We have to be a little more creative. So if you have an entity in the community and you think, I would love to hear more about preschool, or more about anything about what I could be doing to help maybe your daycare or your preschool. Andrea and I have been to some of the daycares and preschools and given out flyers for the kindergarten readiness meetings and different things, but I would love to talk to any group like that. So I know that a lot of people are listening or watching the show, so that might be one thing. I have a list of groups I'm going to call and email, but I would love to talk to you, and I'm just Abe Obian. That's a super easy name, I know, at CSTN, but you can find me on the website of the school, the district website also. But we're just looking for ways to reach out into that community and just share that message that it's not as daunting as it seems. When you just think about those things that we have shared, it's reading, it's talking, it's playing games. It's just doing those things with your child daily that really build your relationship anyway. It's the things that make the memories and just build the rich relationships, and that will put your child ready for school. I didn't really say this before because this sounds like a more negative message than positive, and we like to be positive. But you think if your child comes in essentially a year behind, and they make a year of growth, they are still a year behind. So that's what I mean when it takes so much intervention. So if they're more than that, so we just really want all the children who are starting kindergarten to be right where they need to be. And so when you think about it, is very simple to do those things, and then they're just ready to learn. That's what we are asking parents to do. And we say this all the time, you are your child's best and favorite teacher. They love their teachers, but you are the one. You are the constant. Their teachers change every year, but you're the constant. You're the driving force in everything in their life. You're the reason they're going to love school. You're the reason they're going to get excited about school. You make the weather and everything. You're the reason they're going to love to come to kindergarten. You are the one. So we want to support you in that. We want to help them love school and do all the things. So that's why I don't really want to dwell too much on the negative of coming in behind. We want you to give you the resources that you need to be able to do all the things. And Laura and I were just talking a couple weeks ago about, we have some manipulatives we can give to parents and that's like the teacher word for little things to count and all the different things,
sorting.
If you need any of those things, you can reach out to us and we can give you some little baggies. But I'm sure Laura has better ideas than this, but like dried beans or little. Oh,
absolutely. Things. Anything they can put in their hands and count or sort, that one-to-one correspondence, lining some objects up in order and say, which one's first, which one's last. Things like that. That's just, again, words, just using your words for sure.
Need to take my final break of the show. We're going to come back and close out. We want to remind them again of those dates. But we also want to let people know if they'd like to make a donation to the pre-K program. You've got crayons or things like that. We'll talk about that at the break as well.
Yes, we will. Because you have helped us out. So, yes, we will.
We'll take a break. We're back in just a moment. All right, we're back here with our final few minutes of the show. And we want to give you the dates, and we want to give you the opportunity also to assist in the pre-K program. What I want people to do is, so that in case they didn't hear at the front end of the show, each of you tell us exactly what your role is, and if you want to give some contact information, if someone have questions, I want you to do that as well.
Perfect. And I'm Andrea Bobian, and I'm the Director of Early Learning, which is a new position in the county. And it's just because of the need for reaching our families before our kids are even in school. So that is covering birth through kindergarten. And we are just looking for ways to help our students come to school ready to learn and not behind. And my contact information, it's Bobian, which is ABEAUBIEN at dcstn.org. But again, if you just go to dcstn.org and look for, it's our website's pretty easy to navigate. Bobian's not that easy, but it's easy to find me there, or call the central office and ask for Andrea Bobian. It's pretty easy. So, and one of the things that I am over is the VPK, and that is the 4-year-old preschool. That's an all-day program, and I think you were talking about if people wanted to do some donations.
Yes.
And Mr. Forte did give us all of the things from the Back to School Bash, and one thing about VPK is we don't really typically ask the parents to bring school supplies, and so that was so wonderful. So thank you for giving us all
You're
of
welcome.
that. So if you had so inclined to want to provide anything like that, you could give me a call or send me an email, and I could let you know what is needed there. But that was really appreciated. We were very grateful for that. So thank you, Mr. Forte.
You're welcome.
Yes.
We're happy to do it.
That was so nice.
I'm Andrea Rawls. I'm the elementary literacy coordinator, so I work with all of our kindergarten through 5th grade ELA teachers, and the work that we're doing in the early grades for foundational reading, and then of course the upper grades for TCAP readiness and everything that goes along with our curriculum. If you need to get in contact with me, my email is arawls. Rawls is as easy as Bobian. It's RAWLS at dcstn.org.
And I'm Laura Farrell, the numeracy coordinator for elementary. And I support teachers and making sure that they have what they need to get our kids where they need to be, going from conceptual math understanding and mathematical fluency. I can also be reached through the same email, which is lfarrell at dcstn.org. And that's FERRELL.
All right. Easy names to spell.
Yeah.
All right, Andrea, you had some dates.
Yes. So if your child attends, we were talking about those 3rd grade family meetings. So Centennial, Charlotte Elementary, Oakmont Elementary, Stuart Burns, and White Bluff Elementary. All of you have your meetings on August 27th. The times vary a little bit, but 5:30 you can check your email, you can check your child's folder, check our website. And then if you are at Dickson Elementary, your meeting is August 29th at 6 o'clock. The Discovery School is October 1st at 5:30, and Van Leer Elementary is September 12th at 6 p.m.
All right. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
It was
us.
such a pleasure. We look forward to the 21st. We'll have a couple of you back, I think. One Andrea's leaving us.
Yes. Sorry.
No, but we do encourage you though with the pre-K program to, if you have a desire to make a donation, whatever crayons, whatever you want to donate, reach out to Andrea at the Dickson County Schools, and she'll tell you what the need is. And we encourage you to support all of our schools and our kids in our schools. Because it does make a difference. And read to your child. It will blow your mind at how smart they really are.
Yes.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back here again on tomorrow with another edition of the Power Lunch. Have a blessed day, everybody. Up next is the John and Heidi Show.
Dickson Electric. Tune in Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 12:30 for Dickson.